What's up, guys? Jordan McAbee here, fantasyracingonline.com, home of the Slingshot Fantasy Auto Contest, and today we're going to talk about Dover and the Drydene 400. And we are now a third of the way through the NASCAR 2021 NASCAR season, and Denny Hamlin still hasn't won. So this is race 13. So for the Slingshot contest, this is the end of the spring segment, just FYI. So for anybody that, or if you play that game, which I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you probably do, it doesn't really have any major effect on the game, but in the standings after next week with Circuit of the Americas, the standings pages will change a little bit and include spring segment and summer segment standings in addition to overall. So the season's just broken up into the spring segment, summer segment, and playoffs. And just FYI. So Dover this weekend. First off, good news is that Martin Truex Jr. isn't running the auto owner scheme, so the rest of the field has a chance. I don't know. If you don't follow me on Twitter, then you probably haven't really heard my whole theory with this, but I've been harping on this since 2017, I think. And just how much more Truex dominates when he's in the auto owner's car. And then I finally put the numbers together fully this week. I did it a couple years ago, and I decided to run it all again. So, a little hard to see. Might be a little bit difficult for you to fully see this, especially if you're on a phone or anything. But basically, since auto owners started sponsoring Truex, he's ran 37 races with them. He's won 6 of them, giving him a win percentage of 16.2, slightly above his average overall at 14.06% of wins. But the real noteworthy thing is he's led 2,457 laps out of 10,450 laps completed while in an auto owner's car, which is about a little over 23.5%. His average, or his percent laps led in any other sponsored car, 12.89%. It's interesting. It's very interesting. It's one of the things that I definitely notice, and I definitely notice a lot more now that I follow the stats on it, is when he's in that auto owner's car, because it just seems like that thing has an extra 50 horsepower each time. Now, his average finish in that car is a little bit worse. He has a few more dud races, and obviously a smaller sample size, but I find that stuff interesting. Anyway, let's get on to Dover. So Dover is a 1 mile track. Again, for the second week in a row, it's unique. Is probably the best way to put it. It's a mile track, but it has 24-degree banking. It doesn't compare extremely well to anything. So they're running the 750 horsepower package again this week. So, I mean, it's hard to compare to the 1.5 mile tracks with that. And then tire-wise, they are using same tire combination that they ran last year here at Dover. And then the left side tires were ran at Homestead and Darlington this year. But it's hard for me to sit here and say that Darlington has any or barely anything other than minute similarities to Dover. And same with Homestead. Like, I just don't see it. I kind of look at Dover as a unique track by itself, kind of like I did Darlington last week, and that's how I'm gonna roll with it. Definitely take into consideration drivers with speed with the 750 horsepower package, as well as driver performance on the steeper tracks, and go from there. But it's going to be a lot. It is going to be a lot of the same people, I think, that we saw good last week at Darlington. So, starting lineup, we got last week's winner Truex on the pole, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick rounding out the top 5. Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, and Chris Buescher, top 10. Noteworthy guys kind of starting further back, for place differential plays. Keselowski in 15th after he just completely sucked at Darlington. Alex Bowman starting 16th. And other than that, we're finally getting to that point of the season where it's the starting lineup is what it's supposed to be. We do have Kurt Busch starting back here in 28th. Cole Custer starting 30th and Eric Almirola starting 32nd. All three of those guys have been bad this season, so picking them in fantasy is kind of risky, but in a game like the Slingshot Contest, it's hard to pass up those place differential points. Looking at my algorithm predicted finishing order for this race, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, neck and neck, head and shoulders above everybody else pretty much. It's got Kevin Harvick projected to finish 3rd, Kyle Larson right there with him, projected 4th, Joey Logano 5th. One thing to note about Logano this week, he's without his crew chief. We saw that last week with Keselowski. Will that have the same effect? I don't think so, but I didn't think that would happen at Darlington either with Keselowski, so not 100% sure there. Kyle Busch, who's starting to run pretty good here lately, projected to finish 6th. Chase Elliott, William Byron, Mr. Top 10 this year, projected 8th, and then Keselowski and Blaney rounding out the top 10. Christopher Bell right there in 11th. Noteworthy, Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick right here. I mean, these power index numbers for those two are pretty good. 25 and 23 for Austin Dillon and Reddick. Pretty solid. So let's take a look at, there were 2 Dover races last year. They were the Saturday, Sunday Dover races. And I think, so they're both 311 miles. So they weren't quite full races. And then obviously the second race was inverted by the finishing order of the first race. So the top 20 finishers in the first race here at Dover last year were then inverted. So DiBenedetto, who finished 20th on Saturday, started first. Ryan Newman, who finished 19th, started second, vice versa. And then 21st through the rest of the field started where they finished on that second day. So in the second race, just to recap, I'm pretty sure these guys had to use the same car too. So we saw DiBenedetto only led for 11 laps. The point I'm trying to get here is the numbers could be possibly a little bit skewed just because of how these guys, the starting order was done. So just keep these results with a little grain of salt. So basically what we saw last year in the first race was Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. led for most of it for 203 of the 311 laps. And then second race, Harvick completely dominated. Started 17th, but won both stages, won the race, and led 223 laps and just crushed. So we'll take a look at those, a little deeper dive into those numbers from last year's race. Average finish-wise, Truex leading the way with an average finish as second, then Kevin Harvick 2.5. Kyle Busch, Logano both at 7, and then Keselowski 8.5, Denny Hamlin at 10. Average running position, Truex leading the way at 5.4, Joey Logano 5.6, Harvick 6.0. Like I said, a lot of these same guys. Denny Hamlin 7.1, Keselowski 7.3, and then Clint Bowyer. Pretty solid year here last year at 7.9. Obviously, Chase Briscoe's in that car now, not racing as well as Bowyer did. So take that for what it's worth. Green flag speeds, I wouldn't look too much into this. I mean, you can. It's noteworthy. But like Chase Elliott, I think he wrecked or had something happen in the first one, or was it the second race? Oh, come on. Yeah, Chase. I forget what happened to him. I haven't rewatched the races yet, but finished 39th. So that definitely skews that green flag speed number. But so we'll just say Harvick, Truex, Hamlin, Logano, Clint Boyer, Almirola, Keselowski. All pretty good green flag speed. Now, so they're running the 750 horsepower package this week. That compares pretty well to what was ran here at 2017, 2018. So we got 4 races to look at over that span. Now, obviously, some things have changed. Some drivers have moved. Some drivers have better equipment. Some drivers have worse equipment. Teams have obviously made advancements. Hendrick wasn't as good in 2017, 2018. They're better now. But we will still look at these numbers. Average finish-wise, Chase Elliott at 5.0, Martin Truex Jr. 6.5, Daniel Suarez 6.8, Kyle Larson. So FYI, Kyle Larson did not run either race here last year, so he wasn't even included in that chart. Larson 7.3, Harvick 8.3, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 9.0. Average running position over the 2017 and 2018 races, Truex at 5.3, Harvick 6.4, Keselowski 7.1. We know who's good here. That's what I'm getting at here. Let's take a look at, before we get to making some picks, let's look at, so this is average running position career at Dover. Kyle Larson that has the best career average running position. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski. Cole Custer had really good races here last year. Obviously, he is running significantly different now. But he was up there. Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, who was always in that Joe Gibbs racing car. So, and then Denny Hamlin. Career average green flag speed, Chase Elliott's leading the way, along with Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Truex, Keselowski. That's the interesting thing is Chase average running position is 9th best, while his average green flag speed is the best in the series. And I think it's because he's had quite a bit of bad luck here in a few races, which can skew some numbers. I really like the word skewed today. Yeah, so 2 of the last 3, Chase has finished 38th or 39th. Then he had that 12th place finish here in 2018, but every single other race was top 5 for Chase Elliott. So definitely solid, but his numbers can get a little wacky when you have such drastic bad results, and NASCAR, the NASCAR media site doesn't take into account that stuff. So crashing out or wrecking or doing something to get out of a race early typically helps your green flag speed. I know it typically doesn't. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to some people, but essentially the race gets slower as it goes on. So if you only make a couple laps, your average speed is going to be faster than someone that makes 400 laps. And then that also, of course, negatively affects your average running position. So that's probably why we see Chase Elliott with the best green flag speed and the 9th best average running position. He should probably be about, if I had to estimate, take the difference, and he's about 5th on both. That's how I would think of it. So let's go ahead and get into some slingshot picks this week. Like I said, this is the last race of the spring segment. So I know it's a big deal for some of you in private leagues and everything, and just something to keep in mind this week. If you're going for that win or whatever, good luck. This could be the race to take a chance, but Dover typically we don't see like huge surprises. I will note that we kind of see like there are some tracks like Richmond and road courses where it's the same exact people up front every single time. You look at the last 3 years of Dover races, there's only 2 drivers that have more than 3 top 5s in those 6 races, and that's Truex and Harvick. And Harvick's finish outside the top 5 during that range was a 6th. So, just something to keep in mind. So yeah. So we'll go ahead. We'll start. Let's start with the low driver this week. I really don't love this. This isn't the week. Again, this isn't the week to take the back markers. I'm really leaning toward Daniel Suarez, just because he was so good here. When he had good equipment, now he has, I'd say, better than average equipment. So he was 30th and 28th here in that 96 car last year. We all know how junk that 96 car was. When he was in good equipment, 4 top 10s and no finish worse than 14th and 6 starts. Pretty solid. And we look at, like I said, it's so weird to me to look at like Homestead and stuff, but 15th at Homestead for Suarez this year, which using the same left side tire. Is that what I said? Yeah, same left side tire. Phoenix, he was 21st, 750 horsepower package there. Bristol Dirt doesn't really count. Martinsville, he had a wreck. Richmond, 16th, 750 horsepower package. Darlington, 23rd. Kind of more of a driver's track there. But yeah, he starts 24th, just kind of hoping for a top mid-teens finish there. I could see jumping down. I always like Corey LaJoie. He's one of my favorite drivers, actually. So I don't mind picking him, but I think you can fit a pretty good lineup in without him. But if you need that $800 in cap space, I like Corey LaJoie. Anthony Alfredo is Anthony Alfredo. He's about, what you're going to get with him. So I really like this range right here. So obviously Truex and Hamlin, my algorithm loves them. Vegas loves them. They're starting 1-2. One of them is probably going to win the race. And you got Larson up there. I don't mind this week staying under those guys in Slingshot and stuffing three of these mid $11,000 drivers in your lineup. So hitting them with, Chase Elliott. I really like Chase Elliott this week. I think he has top 5 upside. Definitely can get some stage points. Kevin Harvick, great price at $11,000. And then if you went someone like Joey Logano at 11.2, who has upside, a little bit of place differential upside, starting 9th, that leaves you $9,000 to then pick up Christopher Bell. He could definitely. He really was not good here at Dover last year, but that 20 Toyota is pretty solid. But you could also, say you didn't want to go Bell, you could go Reddick. Again, a little risky. Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon's actually pretty good here at Dover. He led 50-something laps here last year. 49 laps in the first race. But 2 top 10s in his last 5 starts. Pretty much top 15 since 2016 here most of the time. So could definitely see taking a risk on him. But you got Cole Custer here at 8,400, starting 30th. Yes, he hasn't been good this year. I don't think he's finished better than 18th. Let me double check that real quick. So outside of the 2 super speedway races and the Daytona road course, his best finish is 18th. But really going with someone like Cole Custer, you are just playing that place differential game. You want you're hoping for a top 20. Get those. If he finishes 20th, that's 20 points in place differential. You could also, I don't mind jumping down here and grabbing Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who's also pretty good here at Dover, just like Austin Dillon. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr., top 15 or top 16 in 4 of his last 6 starts here. Has a couple top 10s in there, including the first race last year. Starting 20th, don't mind him. That frees up cap space to then, you know, you can go with a Keselowski and Kyle Busch instead of the Logano and Harvick, or, you know, if you wanted to go Larson and then $100 off, of course. Don't really love Eric Jones, but he starts 23rd. It's just take last week's result and his running. He's just really good at Darlington. So, but you could do this. You know, you could go Larson, Elliott, Harvick, Jones, Suarez. Instead of that, I'd probably go Truex, Elliott, Harvick, Stenhouse, Suarez. If I was going to go that route, I really like Chase Elliott this week. But yeah, you could, you know, you could definitely go Kyle Busch and Logano. Gives you an extra 200. You can then jump up and grab Hamlin or grab Larson. Now, if you wanted to, so what if you did like Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick? I'm looking at, you know, these place differential guys here. Eric Almirola. So Kyle Busch, Logano, Harvick, Almirola, LaJoie leaves you $400 to work with. So you could still, instead of Kyle Busch, you could go up and grab Chase Elliott, or you know, go Keselowski and Kyle Busch. There's a lot of room in there to work in that. If you don't go with one of the probably the big 3 this year, Hamlin, Larson, and Truex. Obviously, Larson only has 1 win. Hamlin has 0. Truex has 3. But definitely running the best this year. But, you know, for a game like the Slingshot Contest, they're starting. All 3 of them are starting in the top 4. So, yeah, they're probably going to score a ton of points. But if they wreck or if something happens, that can be awful for your day. Whereas someone like Chase Elliott starting 8th, Keselowski starting 15th, Joey Logano starting 9th. You can, there's more room to work with as far as, you know, if there's an issue. You know, if Logano has a tire issue running 3rd and ends up 15th, it doesn't really kill you as much as it would if Martin Truex Jr. had the same thing happen. But like I said, we know that Hamlin, Truex, and Larson are going to probably be the guys to beat. You know, my algorithm has them 1, 2, and 4 with Harvick stuck in there, but you could easily interchange Larson and Harvick with this ranking right here in this power index. So, again, a couple things to keep an eye on this week would be Joey Logano not having his crew chief. Same with Brad Keselowski. Will that have a major effect, or was last week just a fluke with Keselowski? I typically like the crew chief stuff. I really don't. It really typically doesn't affect me a ton. But that was definitely something noteworthy last week. Another noteworthy thing about Keselowski, he hasn't had a top 5 here since 2016, and only, what was that, 5 for his whole career in 22 starts. Interesting. You think he'd be a little bit better here? Looking at Logano, you know, 6th, 8th, 7th, and 3rd here for the last 5 at Dover. Obviously, he's been great in this 750 horsepower package. I like Logano this week, especially in, you know, the Slingshot game. He starts 9th. He's priced well at 11.2. And again, Chase Elliott. I like Chase, Logano, Harvick, Almirola, LaJoie. Oops. Or Bell and Suarez if you didn't want to go LaJoy. Or, Reddick or stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, I definitely really like that mid $11,000 range in Slingshot this week. I really like Daniel Suarez on the low side. Probably LaJoy is the only other guy that I would go after. And yeah, so if I'm going Logano, Elliott, no matter what, I basically need 1,300 to go any other route with these top three guys to fit them in there as well. And I'm not seeing the value in this, mid 7,000 range to do that. Maybe Bubba Wallace, but he just continues to disappoint. So I definitely like a lineup like this, fit in three mid $1,000 guys, and then another mid-tier guy there like a Christopher Bell or Eric Almirola, Kurt Busch, maybe even jump down to Cole Custer. If you're, like I said, there's plenty of place differential there, and he ran well here last year, but just super hard to trust him. Whereas, Christopher Bell is a little bit more risky, but he has top 10 finishing upside. So that's going to do it for me for this video. Yeah, good luck. Dover is interesting. And we're back to another road course next week. So, see ya.